Welcome to the virtual lunch. Today is Friday, April 16th, 2021. This is virtual lunch number 284. Our guest today is Jacob Herstek, a vice president and senior counsel at HSBC in Buffalo. And this is part of our April series on meaningful metrics, thanks to our friends at Integrion.
I've been at HSBC since 2014, and in that time, I was responsible for building our e-discovery function. My boss at one point had about 6 or 7 people working for him in the department. There's now 5 of us who do it full time. There's me, there's a couple of paralegals who really do the real work of managing the cases. I also have our IT team who reports into me and does all our collection work. We do all our collection work in-house and then partner with vendors to do the rest of our work. I really view our vendors as an extension of our team. We're a very small team. I think we're a very efficient team. There's no real e-discovery decision that's made without the input of our team. But as you might imagine, given our litigation and investigation profile, that's difficult. So our vendors are just critical partners when it comes to that. That's a high-level look at our team and what we do. At HSBC, there are not enough seats or not enough desks for all the employees if we all came to work on the same day. Our culture is a little bit remote and working from home. It's something that we're very used to. We rarely had a full team in the office on any given day. So it wasn't a real shocking change for us, for our department. Obviously, there was a ton to do when we couldn't get back into the office in terms of managing removable media and cataloging evidence. But really, on a day-to-day basis, what we do, how we do it, didn't change much. My favorite example of this is the story of one of my IT specialists. And in the winter, he works from Fort Myers, Florida, and then he returns home in the summer to Buffalo and works off of his boat. And he's been doing that for 4 or 5 years now. And it's the best gig in the business if you can get it. It's reflective of when there's dedicated resources and attention put towards working that way, it's fine. And the important point too about this guy, he probably collects for us 4 or 5 terabytes of data a year. Imagine some of the latency periods and stuff like that. With, again, the dedicated resources, it's just not an issue. What the pandemic has done, as much as I love my senior managers, I think it has opened their eyes to the fact that this can be done without having to be in the office. There was never much reluctance for a team like ours, who's really tech focused and understands the technology part of what we have to do to support the litigation investigations. But it certainly has opened the eyes to the managers. One of the biggest challenges I see, especially for our team, has used to this at some level, is getting people back into the office. There's first certainly a safety concern, and that is real, but there's also the convenience factor of being able to do it really efficiently from home. So there has to be a cultural look at how we're going to work going forward. One of the selling points of one of my managers has always been, I might not be able to offer you this, I might not be able to offer you the newest software, but I can allow you to work from home a couple of days per week. So depending on the department and who the manager is, that is something that is certainly offered and considered. And this is one of your perks of your job now. Not that just you can do it, but we're going to call it a perk now. That's going to have to be thought of more widely at institutions like ours. There's certainly value all being in the same room, and I won't discount that for a second. But how often do you really need to do that? Working with my team, I refer to them as my second family. We are a small team that works very closely together, and we're as dysfunctional as any other family, but we love each other to death. We've done very well staying in touch with each other. We've worked hard over the last year. Obviously, it's not going to be my decision when HSBC allows its 250,000 employees back into the office. So they come to me and say, well, when are we going to have to do it? And I give my best answer or my best prediction. And well, then like, well, why do we have to do it? And I said, that's even a harder question to answer. From my perspective, it doesn't matter where you are. You could be on the moon if you're accessible. If you're going to pick up my call or you're going to answer my email in a reasonable amount of time, then it just simply doesn't matter. I can tell you that's not the feeling from everybody I've worked with. And one of the biggest challenges we had about a year ago when the pandemic, we really started to feel the effects of it, is having our document reviewers be remote. Our managed review providers looking at documents from their homes in India or the Philippines or wherever it may be. That was a challenge to convince, especially our investigators. These are the most sensitive documents, the most sensitive cases. Working to alleviate some of their concerns when it came to that took some work. Some of the progress we made and the successes we've had over this year have helped do that. And the technology too. I almost feel bad in a way for some of our reviewers, but they're on a camera every minute of their working day. So someone's watching them do those reviews. And that's a difficult environment to work in. And I don't envy that at all. I do think if it's not necessary, it's appreciated by those who are managing the cases internally. I really think with the beginning of the use of all these collaborative tools and how we communicate is going to fundamentally change e-discovery and frankly, how I do my job. Businesses have had to really change on a dime and how they've worked with each other. And no one's thinking about how that data is going to be collected and used in the context of an investigation or litigation several years down the road or even several months. They just need to get the work done to keep the bank running. The other component is demising records that have long passed their record retention schedule, the over retention of data. We're all about metrics. We couldn't do our job without metrics. And metrics is a dangerous word because I think you always have to view them through the lens of the storyteller. What message are we trying to present with these metrics? That's the caveat I sometimes think about when I hear certain quote metrics. We really work closely with our vendors to develop reporting metrics. We do it internally, but we also use it as a check to really think about the amount of data we collect so we can budget how much processing we buy at our vendors because we work under a managed service agreements with our vendors. We moved away from the fee for service, and I think we were able to show a pretty significant save when it came to that. One of the most important metrics I have in terms of controlling costs is how many times a document is touched or looked at after our first level review provider has seen it. But we have very specific guidelines when it comes to what we expect on quality control type review stuff. So that's helped us control costs from an outside counsel perspective. Lastly, I think metrics are important when you think about analytics, TAR, artificial intelligence, because it really allows us to identify the documents that really need a human review. When we work from home, we all work too much. You guys can come back to the office if you can leave your computer or your laptop at your desk. And when you leave, you're done for the day and you're not even going to have the temptation of sitting down in your office or your dining table or wherever it is you work because the computer won't be there. There's ways to maybe put guardrails back on our work days that might be positive. The benefit is it ends there and then we can have a life. We're less on a 24/7 work cycle. Our vendors and our service providers is part of my team. You wouldn't talk to somebody at the bank like that or treat someone at the bank like that. You're not going to treat the extension of our team like that. I think you get better results when you can respect the people you're working for, respect their time like you would respect your own, rather than having that heavy hand.
So Jacob Herstek, everybody. Well done. Thank you so much, Jacob. This was a fantastic conversation. Thanks, of course, to our friends at Integrion for supporting this series on meaningful metrics.